So, hello and welcome to the Black Rose podcast. Today I'm here with Ryan and this is episode 3. So, I think since both of us are on prep, it's only right that we do an episode based all about prep. So, do you want to tell us a little bit of
So we're getting straight into it?
I don't know, should we?
Are we getting straight into it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like we should have a conversation first.
Yeah, I feel like we should, yeah.
About what though?
You know what I mean? How's your day going?
Okay, let's start again.
No, this is good.
Is
Keep
it?
going. Yeah. It's okay. Shake off the nerves, you know?
Right.
Nerves are good, guys. Nerves are good. Nerves are good. It means you're doing something that, you find difficult, whether that be, a prep or a photo shoot
Being
or
on camera.
being on camera or putting yourself out there, you're doing something that nerves are there for a reason.
Yeah.
It will inevitably make you better when you overcome those nerves.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
very, very true.
So how's your day going?
Yeah, it's going good.
You could have at least asked me how my day was going before.
We're short on time.
Yeah.
So, how's your day going?
Yeah, it's going good. I'm a little bit tired today, but that's the joys of
Lazy.
Lazy. I'm definitely a little bit lazier than normal. I just don't want to do anything. I'm very food focused at the moment, where like everything I just think about is food.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about those food challenges, and like I was like, I wish I could eat. But other than that, like, day's going pretty good. How's your day going?
Yeah, it's going good. Like, just the same as always, to be honest. It's like,
we live a pretty boring life, don't we?
we really do, don't we? It's
Yeah.
like rinse and repeat every single day.
Same in,
It's
same
good
out.
though.
Yeah.
It's good though.
See, that's the thing is with anything you need to create consistency.
Yeah.
And something that you can just it's so difficult because I think everyone balances that kind of like pleasure and pain seesaw, where it's like, how much pain am I willing to go through without receiving any pleasure in terms of food, in terms of a day off from the gym or a day off from work or a day off from this. And I feel like that seesaw, like once you can kind of come to terms with that, like short-term sacrifices lead to long-term gains,
100%.
and you stop thinking about like things being like, oh, I need to have that night out on even once a month, like that can really skew your progress in whether it be business, whether it be prep, whether it be trying to even just study for an exam that you have. It can be music, it can be learning a new instrument, it can be anything. So like, obviously that balance is one thing that people try to, I find, get right all the time, and there's only so much people are willing to give up to actually half achieve their goals, whether it be learn 6 languages, or whether it be, like I said, learn 6 instruments, or whatever that is. It doesn't have to be prep related, but I think we can keep it prep related today. But the moment that you kind of decide that this is my goal, and I'm just going to not stray off plan, because like I haven't strayed off plan in the last 6 weeks, and I feel like I've made 6 months worth of progress.
Definitely.
So like, in my eyes, it's worth it, but it's not worth it in the start. Because remember, we were like, we'd go like get steps in and stuff like that, and I'd be like, every single day I'd be like, I feel like I'm just like, what's the word? Is it like trudging through mud? I just like, my boots were just stuck, and I was just like, I couldn't get any momentum going. Obviously I was training and I was working really, really hard, but there was no short-term reward. So I feel like a lot of people try to, Saturday comes around or Sunday comes around, and they take
just
that,
want to like treat themselves, just be like, oh, I deserve this.
yeah.
So
like, do you find yourself wanting to give yourself little wins, like little rewards, like oh, I should have that pizza, or I should take that day off, or I know Mr. Jason there behind the camera is king of the mini wins.
I just get myself some nachos.
We slag him all the time because he prepped last year, and I think he took a holiday about 3 weeks out as well, like, do you know what I mean?
Had some nachos here and there.
And I think he would admit he enjoyed himself, But I think he would also admit that if he had of, like, I think the best thing that ever happened to you was the Irish show. And then, like, in 2 weeks, you made about 12 weeks worth of gains. Yeah, you were just like, it was like someone lit a fire underneath you.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's good to have,
Yeah,
you know, is to
it
realize. But again, it is balancing that, and I understand it from Jay's perspective and my perspective. Like, it is balancing that seesaw of pleasure and pain. Like, how much pain are you willing to accept before you give yourself some sort of pleasure? And it's a really difficult thing to do.
And like it's a long process. Like it's gonna take time, and you have to take it day by day. Like you can't just be like, okay, it's been a week, I'm just gonna have a little cheat meal.
Do you know what's probably funny? And sometimes I think about this, and it's kind of like how I get through the tough days. I imagine I was in prison, right?
Okay.
And I imagine that, like, you know, I'm wrongfully incarcerated.
Okay.
What options have I got other than to see out my time? You hear these stories of people getting arrested and people getting sent to prison for
stuff they didn't do.
Yeah, for stuff they didn't do. It comes out 10 years later that they didn't do what they were sent in for, and they were wrongfully in prison the whole time.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're in that situation, you no longer have control over your own actions. You have to adhere by whatever sentence you're given, or you have to follow it could take you 10 years, like I said, to get out. So I know it's so strange, but I try to think about it like that. Like, I'm after being wrongfully incarcerated, and I no longer have the choice to make that decision on whether I do this or do this. Because that person obviously can't go out on a Saturday, can't talk to their friends, can't do whatever, and they don't have control. So they're under somebody else's control. So what I try to do is I try to put myself in that situation that I wouldn't give up. Like, I wouldn't turn into a person of, like, you know, maybe I would, but I'd like to hope that I'd stay positive in those situations, and that I would, like, I wouldn't be able to eat pizza. I wouldn't be able to, you know, do all these things if I was in prison, if I was in, say, solitary confinement or something like. So
basically you're saying being on prep is like being in prison.
No, what I say is how, like, you hear these stories all the time, and you hear tragic things happening to people. Yeah. And how do they cope with that? Because surely they have to find a way. Yeah. Otherwise, we would never hear the good stories. Yeah, true. Oh, such and such got out after 10 years, you know, he was wrongfully incarcerated, blah, blah, blah. So I find that, like, what would drive them to keep hope, whatever that is, if I think about putting myself in that person's shoes, what would I think about? I would think about, this is something I don't have control over. So, like, food to me is not something now that I go, oh, this is something I do or something I don't do. Yeah. It's just I don't have that option. Yeah. This is what I do, and that's it. Like, I can't, there is no decision-making process. No. It's not like, oh, I'm staying in on a Saturday to, you know, I'm literally just eliminating that this is no longer a decision that I have to make.
Like, that's a sacrifice that you have to make. You can't just be like...
Yeah, so think about it like when prep started, think about me signing the dotted line, and whatever's required in that prep, it's no longer in my hands. It's just like I've been locked up, and that I have to follow the rules of prep.
I suppose, yeah, when you put it that way. But then at the same time, like, it is your choice to actually do it.
That's why you'll never hear me complain about, like, the journey of prep. I will complain about, like, feeling like my feet are stuck in the mud, you know, in that start. But question to you, right? So what do you think is harder? Because I've thought about this today and yesterday. Do you think the day-to-day prep, the training, the eating the right food, the cardio, the steps is harder? Or do you think breaking the initial habit at the start, going from, let's say, the routines and disciplines that you're not doing to now going to doing them, so putting in place steps, putting in place eating at the same times, once you build a habit in,
it gets a lot easier.
Yeah, so which one do you think is actually the harder of the two? For example, dieting for 16 weeks, once you have the habit, or actually building that habit, going from not focusing on prep related stuff to then just, how long does it take? 3 weeks to build that habit in? Probably. Yeah. So which one do you think is harder?
So I definitely think the starting point is the hardest part, because, like, if you're not doing if you're not consistent, you're not really tracking your food, you're not like being consistent with your training, cardio, steps, you just kind of do whatever. Actually having goals to hit is a lot harder at the start, but obviously over time it becomes that habit, it becomes part of your routine. So you'll probably start doing the same things at the same time. So you'll train at the same time, you'll do your steps around the same time, you'll have like times for your meals probably the same time every day, eat the same foods. So over time, like after a few weeks, it just becomes something you do naturally without thinking about. So I think prep is going to be as difficult as you make it for yourself, because like if you make it difficult, it will be difficult. But if you just stick to it, if you do what you have to do, like it's gonna be so much easier. And it also depends on like your mindset. So if you're being negative about it, if you're stressing about it, like you're gonna make it so much harder for yourself. Whereas if you're like taking it one day at a time, it's gonna be a lot easier, because you're not really thinking, like you're still thinking about the bigger picture, but you're thinking about this is what I have to do today. And like just it's all about just taking off all the boxes, and then you feel great at the end of the day once that's all like done. I don't actually know if I answered your question.
You did, yeah.
Okay.
But I wanna touch on what you said there.
Okay.
So I've trained a lot of people, I've met a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people, and I'm interested in what you said there about taking it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Most people I've met find it very difficult to take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Is to show up and do, because it's hard to train like legs when you have no progress.
Yeah.
So I would argue that someone who comes in and train legs for the first time feels just as much pain as what we need to stimulate a bit of growth, say 6 years into our training. Yeah. It's still just as difficult. But for them, there's no they can't, yes, they can take it one day at a time, but most people are they want what's at the end.
Yeah.
But how do you literally, I know you say you take it one day at a time, but how can you just look at something as in okay, this is just what I need to do today to help me get to here? How do you not stop focusing on where you want to go as opposed to just the day? Because I think you focus more on the day than you actually do on the show. That's September, whatever, when it's in September. I don't even think you think about September.
No,
I think you literally just take it
one day at a time, do what I have to do. It's like, that's what I'm working towards.
Yeah.
But it's those things that I do on daily basis that are actually going to get me there. So it's like, I know that if I do everything that I need to do each day, I will get to where I want to be. Whereas if I'm just thinking about what I want to look like when I'm on stage, what weight I want to be, like if I'm just thinking about that the whole time, I feel like it stresses me out a lot more, because I'm like, okay, this is what I look like now, this is what I want to look like. I have 20 weeks or 22 weeks or whatever. In my head, I'll be like, okay, that's not enough time. Whereas if I'm just taking it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, it's like, okay, this is my goal for this week. So, for example, I have 11,000 steps to do on a training day. I get my 11,000 steps done. For me, that's a goal achieved. And I just do that every single day. My calories, if I get my calories, hit my food every single day, every day of the week, it just makes it that little bit easier for me. I don't think I've ever really been focused more on the bigger picture about anything. It's always just taking it slowly and just building it up over time, and then you get there and it's I didn't even realize that that's how much progress I made, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does.
But what I'm trying to say is people might find that very interesting, because I would be very much a bigger picture type of person.
Yeah, you have your 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Whereas,
and those are the habits that actually get you to the 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think like seeing you do it each day, and not, you don't really talk about what you're going to do, or like, you know, what way the show's going to go, or what you want to place, or what you want to do.
Yeah,
But
that's literally because I don't know. Like, I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the day. That's all I know.
Yeah. And then you just focus on, okay, I need to do my steps, I need to do my training,
Yeah.
I need to do my this. But you don't typically miss. So you just literally are like day in, day out, day
Yeah.
in, day out. And then all of a sudden, 24 weeks goes by,
Yeah.
and then everyone's asking, how did you manage to do that? And you're like, I literally just took it one day at a
Yeah,
time.
literally.
And people are like, no, there's something, there must be
Yeah.
something else. And it's literally that
No.
simple.
It's literally just that simple.
Like, I've came from, you know, like, it's been very difficult to manage, and it's very, everyone finds everything difficult, so I'm not going to beat around how difficult like managing gyms and things are,
Yeah.
and businesses. But like, I find it very difficult to manage my own training around everything else that has happened in my thing. So I've actually taken a lot from yourself and Jay, in terms of like, when yous come, yous literally train, you stick to everything. The bigger picture stuff, I definitely like. I like it. I like
Yeah.
having a vision on where I want to go.
Yeah.
But you have given me an insight in that it is a case of just literally taking each day one day at a time.
Yeah.
And like, we were talking yesterday, we were at like a thing about a thing for a business, say, and it's funny, we related everything back to prep, and it's simply just, it's the habits that, whether it's prep or whatever it is, it's the habits that you need to do. And it is really that straightforward. Like, if you told people how to get in stage level condition, what would you tell them?
I would literally just tell them to tick off all their boxes every single day. So get their steps, get their cardio, get their training, hit their food, get their sleep, practice their posing if they're competing, because that's a big part of it. And then just do it every single day. And then, like, you just get there.
That's
and,
it.
like, think about it. When you're on stage and, like, you compete, after, like, that's all over, are you going to be more proud of wherever you place, or you're going to be more proud of, like, how you actually got there? Because, like, to me, I feel like wherever I place, it doesn't really matter. It's more so, like, the whole journey building up to it. And it was the same when I did my photo shoot prep last year. Like, I didn't care about the photos at all. It was literally just the whole journey building up to it that, like, I enjoyed. Like, obviously it was great on the day, but then after it was kind of like, I have pictures, like, that's it. Whereas the whole journey before, it's like where I actually, like, built my, like, discipline in a way. So it was kind of like all in my head, like, take it one day at a time, get everything done, and then, like, the day, it's literally like the reward, but you're more proud of the whole journey and, like, all the work you put in, and, like, all, like, the dedication you put in, like, all the hard days when you don't want to get out of bed, when you don't want to train, like, if you want to have, like, a pizza but you don't do it, like, just sticking to it, like, you'll feel so great after, because you actually, like, you stuck to it. And, like, it's hard, like, it's a challenge, but, like, I think that's what it is. Like, it's a whole lifestyle.
I laughed there because Nicole
It's
didn't eat the
thing.
pizza, right?
No, she
But
didn't.
do you want to tell people what you do?
So, like, if I really crave something, I would smell it.
Or probably watch somebody
or
else.
watch somebody else eat it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like I'm eating it. But, like, even though I want to eat it, I don't want to eat it. I just want to, like, watch someone eat it or, like, smell it. So I get, like, a taste of it. So, like, last year I went through my whole prep just smelling food. So I'd sit there with, like, a jar of Nutella. I wouldn't eat it. I'd literally just open it and, like, I'd smell it and I'd be like, oh, this is amazing. Like, it's so bad, but,
Yeah.
like, it worked.
Whatever gets you through. Do you know what I mean? Whatever gets you through.
Yeah.
I was gonna touch on something there. I can't remember. Oh yeah, the journey of prep for you last year. Like, what did it actually teach you about yourself that you didn't already know? So before you started prep, yeah, there would have
Yeah.
been a version of Nicole, and then there was the version of Nicole after prep. I don't know
Yeah.
if is that correct. Would I be right to kind of
Yeah.
would you kind of, you know, if we all had chapters,
Yeah.
you know,
It's a whole like different person.
like do you feel like that? Okay, so then like describe to me like what it was like before prep, looking back, you know, at yourself, and then describe to me kind of, you know, what prep taught you, and you can answer them too when you don't have to
Okay.
answer them
Yeah.
separately.
So like before I started my prep, I wouldn't track my training. I'd go in, I just do whatever I felt like doing. Wasn't making me like any progress. I'd eat whatever I wanted. Like I'd have a pizza 3 times a week because like I was too lazy to cook. I'd like do my cardio once maybe every few weeks because I'd be like, oh, I feel like I need to start doing cardio, and then I'd do it for like a few minutes and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm good for the next like month. And like I wouldn't do my steps. I wouldn't do any of it. Like my sleep was terrible. So it was like I didn't have any consistency and I didn't have any discipline, and I was also in a really bad mental like headspace because of that, because I didn't actually know what I was doing or what I was trying to do. But then when I started my prep, all those small things started to come into it. So like getting that discipline, like just focusing on things, being consistent with my training. So like logging every single session that I do, hitting my macros as best as I can, trying to hit like my calories, my fats, my protein, my carbs, getting my steps. So like going on a walk every single day, which is also great for your head, by the way. Like it's great for your mental health, just to kind of get that little bit of fresh air in. My sleep has gotten so much better. So like I used to go to sleep at like 1 and then I'd wake up at like 5.
Yeah, I
Have
remember.
like barely any sleep, coming into work like exhausted. Whereas now, or like last year, I started to like have that set bedtime and the wake up time, and it's just so much easier because you're in a routine. And like for a lot of people it probably seems like really boring because you're doing the exact same thing every single day. But I think people that enjoy bodybuilding, it's what they actually enjoy to do. It's like I love doing the exact same thing every single day. I love knowing like what my day is gonna look like, even though it's basically the exact same thing. I love eating the same foods every single day. Like I look forward to my oats in the morning every single day. Like the past,
Same.
like yeah,
Same.
it's literally like the best part of my day.
You should see our oats. Like,
Oh,
if we can put a picture up on the screen now, we will.
we
Like,
will.
they look amazing. But on what you were saying there, and I'll let you continue. How did you change? So, like, obviously, when you're in that bad headspace,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be asking you all the questions.
Yeah.
So, but when you're in that bad headspace,
Yeah.
that's when you feel weakest.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
So then how do you start to make some of the most difficult decisions that you've made in your life? So, for example, getting your ass to the gym,
Yeah.
getting yourself to bed on time. Because I've been there before where it's like, it is the last, excuse my language, fucking thing
Yeah.
that you want to do is turn your phone off and go to bed. You want to switch off. You want to escape all the problems that you have. The last thing you want to do is wake up and go to the gym. The last thing you want to do is, you know, go out and get some steps in. And, you know, you might do it because you get so stressed during the day that you're like, I need to clear my head. But, like, how do you actively start doing that from a female perspective? Because I presume you would struggle with different things than I would. How would you actively start doing that? How did you actively start putting yourself first?
Yeah.
Like,
So,
do you remember what it was like the first week that is there any like turning points, like aha moments, like this happened and this was the thing that made me decide no longer am I willing to?
Yeah. See, I think it's just like a mental switch and it just like switches. Like I think I was just tired of my own shit. Like not knowing what I was doing, and like I was just like I need something, because I felt like I was just wasting time. Like just wasting my life doing absolutely nothing when I could do so much more, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I
it
feel
does.
like it's just I really just got sick of myself. I'm just sick of like the way I was thinking about things.
Mhm.
And like I felt like I just needed that little bit of a change.
Okay.
I think that's what it was.
So that being in that place, like being sick of yourself.
Yeah.
You just decided to go all in.
Yeah, I just decided I want to actually do something with my life. Like
Yeah.
I actually want to have like a goal. So the best thing I probably did was get myself a coach.
Mhm.
He was great, by the way. Like Emma is
Yeah.
like,
Shout out to Emma.
shout out to Emma. Like she's actually,
I hate her 20 reps on the leg press.
it's a love-hate relationship.
Emma, if you're listening to this, I absolutely hate it. I still do it when I call it every single week.
Yeah.
It's just miserable.
Feels great after though.
Yeah, you do feel really good after.
Yeah, so like she's helped me a lot, like not even just the training part of things and like the
Mhm.
food part. It's like my whole mentality as well. It's like I don't know, I just like I feel like so much different
Mhm.
about everything.
You
I
you,
look at things differently.
you definitely are a different person than the first day that you walked into Black Rose
I
Gym.
couldn't get my like words out. I was literally I came into my interview and I was like, "Hi." Hey.
You know, so
Yeah.
you in the space of what was it, 3 years now?
I think it's a little over 2.
A little over
Yeah,
two.
a little over 2.
Like
It was like 2 years in November.
like you've massively changed your life, and
Yeah.
I do have this rule that if you are sick of feeling a certain way,
Yeah.
or sick of shit, or sick of crap, or
Mhm.
you can change your life in a year.
Oh yeah,
If you
100%.
if you just put in 1 years of
Yeah.
work, whatever that be, whether it be you want to be a musician. Again, I
Yeah.
talk about bodybuilding, I talk about training, but I also realize that there is other things out there that people want to do. So like if you commit to something,
Yeah.
and that's I think what you've done,
I
because
think so.
you can do it and not commit,
Yeah.
and you don't get the same results.
Yeah.
You don't end up where you were.
Yeah, I feel like it's something you really, really need to like want in your
Mhm.
head, because if you're only doing it for the sake of doing it, you're
Yeah.
not gonna stick to it. So like I tried to do like bodybuilding before when I was like 19, and like my head wasn't fully in it. It
Mhm.
wasn't something I wanted to do at the time. I knew it was something I wanted to do, but it just wasn't the right time. So like I was trying to give it my all, but I was so stressed. I'd literally sit there like with my food, just like bawling my eyes out, being like, this is not what I want. So then like I stopped, and I just, what was it, like 3 years ago? Like I was 19, I'm like 24. 3, 4, 5 years ago, kind of.
Mhm.
So like now I'm in such a better headspace, and it's like I love it.
Mhm.
It's what I want to do.
Mhm.
So I think it is a lot to do with time, because like if it's not the right time for you, you're not gonna do well in it.
Yeah.
Whereas you want to do well in it.
I think as well, tell me if you agree or disagree, like I think your environment, I think like I see there's 6 or 7 people
Yeah.
prepping for shows, or
Yeah.
maybe even more. I'm probably being a little bit maybe there's even more in the gym at the moment,
Yeah.
but where it's like it's such a supportive environment,
That's what it is.
where
yeah.
like every conversation is not like, I train out in a jiu-jitsu, or I train jiu-jitsu a lot, and I train down in KF, and it's the same there. All the guys are all pushing to be professionals,
Mhm.
and they're all pursuing one kind of
Yeah.
goal. And I think we try to, if you really wanted to try bring back down to what the goal is, we all just want to be better versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
We all want challenges. We all are fed up of our stuff. And I think, I tried to prep before as
Mhm.
well, and like people just didn't understand what I was
Yeah.
trying to do. And there might be some people listening to this, and every time you try to start a diet, you have your friends say to you like, "Oh, like you're no fun anymore,"
Yeah. Like,
or
oh, it's just one meal.
"Yeah,
it's
it's just
drink.
one meal, it's just one drink, it's just
Yeah.
one night out." Like, just stop
Like
being
it's
a
not
dry
gonna
shy.
make a difference.
Yeah.
But
And they don't support your goal.
yeah.
And like, to me, that always happened, where
Yeah.
I'd always be kind of going, oh, like, okay, and I just got fed up of just
Yeah.
like saying, like, again, similar
Yeah.
where you are, Like, I want to do something better with my life
Yeah.
than, you know, I love going out, I love having a drink, I love spending time with my friends, but I also want to have some substance. I want to wake up in the morning and say to myself, you know, like, I feel like I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be a better person to my friends when I'm also happier.
Yeah.
I'll be a better partner when I'm also happier. I'll be a better son as well when I'm also happier as a person. But when you set a goal, I think one thing people really struggle with is that supportive environment.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, mother, father, nobody understands.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, like, you're getting really skinny, or you're getting. And it's
yeah,
it's
like
not,
have a biscuit or something.
yeah, it's not about getting skinny. It's like, this is the process. This is what we're trying to do. We have lost, like, I've lost 9 kilos since I started, and you've lost something like 7 kilos.
Yeah.
And to some people, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But like, there's still another 15.
There's still a lot that has to come
off, you know. And, you know, it's, people don't understand sometimes, and I find that environment is probably one. If you want to change something, change your environment, and if you still fail, I guarantee you won't.
Yeah.
Like, if you go and hang out in the gym and you hang around with people who are similar to what you want to do, you
like
will.
You have to surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah, I agree.
Because people, like, that aren't that supportive of what you're doing, like, they're gonna bring you down, and it's just gonna make the whole process harder. So if you can surround yourself with people that have, like, that want to do the same thing, that, like, see what you're doing, like, it's gonna make it so much easier. And even when I did my prep last year for my photo shoot, like, I think there was like four of us doing, like, 4 of Emma's clients doing photo shoots at the same time. So I actually built, like, a really good connection with the other girls, because it was like we were all doing the exact same thing, and it's like, you're not the only one doing it. Like, there's people out there going through the exact same thing you're doing. So I think that was really, really good, because we were, like, all really supportive of each other. So then at the same time, I think because me and you are both prepping at the same time as well, it does make it easier, because, like, we can push ourselves. So, like, if you don't want to do something, I'll be like, come on, let's go. Or, like, same the other way around. Like, if I don't want to train, you're like, come on. And, like, we just get it done, and it feels so good after. Like,
last week, I came off caffeine or pre-workouts because I was very dependent. Don't do what I done.
No.
But I was very dependent on caffeine. I was, you know, using it just to get through the day, and basically I came off pre-workout.
Yeah.
And I was taking that much pre-workout that I got flu-like symptoms, and I had the shakes, and it was very, very bad.
It was terrible.
On Tuesday night, I couldn't get up to even eat. My stomach was that upset, and I was just in bits. And then Nicole pushed me on Wednesday morning, and on Thursday morning, I genuinely thought I wasn't going to be able to train, but somehow I did. And if you don't have that person there supporting you or pushing you, and, like, we always give Jay such a hard time as well. Like, we always, like, tell him when he misses a session. But I think that's what we do to everybody.
Yeah, we do. Like, and even the members in the gym.
Yeah, and I think you need to. Yeah. Nothing can be achieved alone. Whether that be, you know, you need someone at home helping you, whether it's your, you know, family, whether it's your thing. These things are very, very difficult. And if someone out there thinks that they can just do it on their own and just not, you know, need help from somebody. Yeah. And when I mean help, I mean as in, like, you know, that push to do those extra 2 reps, or, you know, to get to the gym on that day that you said you were going to get to. It's funny because we were talking last week, wasn't it, on the only way to feel good is to actually push through the days that are hard. Yeah. And it's like, the days that are hard, the days that you're hungriest, and the days that you're the most tired, you only feel good when you push through them. But if you rest on that day, that doesn't feel as good the following day.
No, it doesn't.
I couldn't believe how well I felt after pushing through a leg workout. Yeah. When I felt really bad, and I had done all my steps, I'd done all my cardio. I didn't have cardio that day, but I ate all my food. I didn't fall off plan, and I was really, really, really struggling. And the next day, immediately, I felt like I'd won the lotto. Yeah. Like, I felt so happy, and I felt so like, I can't believe I'd done that yesterday. Even though it was so challenging. And the only way to experience those good moments is to not quit when it gets tough.
definitely.
Yeah.
And it's still taking it one day at a time.
One day at a time. And it's funny because I do that sometimes myself, but I'm always thinking big picture. Where are we going? What are we doing?
Yeah, like you still want to think about the bigger picture, but it's the whole process before that.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It works.
So do you want to tell me a little bit of why you actually want to compete? Like, what is it?
It's funny because Jay already knows this answer. It's like, I really hope my ma's not listening to this, but I said, I think my ma must have like neglected me as a kid.
Yeah.
Right? Right. I'm saying that in tongue in cheek because ever since I can remember, I always just wanted attention. And I don't mean that in like, I want attention, but I could never understand why. So I think the fitness, obviously when I started in the gym, I seen, well, to be totally honest, it was the only thing I was ever good at. It was the only thing I was really ever good at.
I can really relate to that.
Yeah.
Like, there was nothing else for me.
So, like, I was in school, I was getting in trouble, I was always told, like, didn't bother trying, had so much potential, and blah, 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 and, like, I was good at sports, and then I found the gym, so that's how kind of the training came into it. And then I just stumbled across kind of like Steve Cook's Swolder Nation video, right? And this is like OG YouTube time, right? And like when I first started out doing like training plans for myself and like diet plans, there was no MyFitnessPal. I would have to Google how many grams of chicken, how many grams of protein is in a chicken breast, and then I would write it down on an A4 sheet of paper, and I would literally work out my diet. And I worked out my diet based on macros that I got off bodybuilding.com, and I was using Steve Cook's Swollen Nation video to kind of like try tailor my macros, and I was eating like almonds and chicken breast, and like I had to get it exactly right. I do have a little bit of OCD, so I'm gonna answer your question now, but I just kind of set in the context. So like all of that came from feeling like I was never good at anything, or feeling like a failure. Feeling like that I was never going to amount to something. And I had this, like, as I was growing up, people said, oh yeah, like, cute little kid, blonde hair, Milky Bar kid kind of stuff person. I had like a lot of support, and people thought I was going to do well, but I really struggled between, like, I don't know, probably like 14 to kind of like 17, right? So then once I found the gym, I was like, oh, this is something I'm actually good at. And then from there, I just trained every single morning. I went to the gym after school. And it's funny, like, I have the most respect for the people in the gym that, like, I see that remind me of myself.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I just went every day, and it was just, I loved it.
Yeah.
So because Steve Cook was, like, Mr. Olympia, or was competing in the Olympia, I thought, like, that's what I wanted to do. So I bought then the Arnold's Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding. And that was the first kind of book I've ever read. So that's how I got into it. Then I started watching Arnold. Then I started watching Pump and Iron. Then I started watching. And I became obsessed with, then I became obsessed with Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler's videos. And I started following the Olympia. And this was before, like, I don't remember even being able to talk to someone about this. Like, the relationship I was in at the time, we weren't like, I was into this, but it was like my thing. I was like something that I just never spoke about, and I was into like bodybuilding, and I'd watch all the stuff and I'd keep an eye out on it. It's kind of like, for me, it was kind of like I gave up WWE when I was about 8, 9, 10, 11, because it got crap. They couldn't hit people with chairs, and I know they shouldn't, right? But like, it just, like, Shawn Michaels left and The Undertaker left and all these like people left. It just wasn't the same after that, right?
No.
So I kind of like use bodybuilding as like a replacement for that. But even then, like, you seen all these physiques in like WWE. You had The Rock, you had Triple H, you had all these people. They all had massive physiques. And I remember John Cena used to do training videos. And he'd have like a gym at his back. And I remember watching all these things. So to me, I thought prep was the next thing after getting into training. So I tried to compete in 2016, and I was very skinny at the time. I was like 158 pounds, something like that. And to be honest, I'm very good at making excuses. So I'm very, very good at making excuses. Like, I will do the work. I will do 90% of the work. And I think this comes from, like, getting away with stuff when I was younger.
Yeah.
So like I'd tell my teacher that, the bus was late, and, I'd get away with all my homework.
Yeah.
And I'd always, for some reason, I could always get away with not doing my homework, and then someone else would get detention, but somehow I wouldn't, because my excuse was better than theirs. You know what I mean? So to cut a long story short, and to wrap it back, I just think that I'm very good at making excuses. So during that prep, I stopped because I told myself I wasn't big enough.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that sound like right now?
Jason.
Yeah. And then I decided to bulk up for 2 years, and I
Okay.
bulked up from like 160 to like, I think it was like 200 pounds at like my
Okay,
peak. Yeah,
nice.
so it was pretty good. Yeah,
Nice.
I went from a skinny kid. Did you ever see the video of me at Raw gyms, and I'm like really skinny?
I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, bro. Like I was really skinny, and then I bulked up, and then I tried to compete again, but that's around the time I was trying to open a gym.
Yeah.
So I was obsessed then with like Christian Guzman. I was obsessed
Mhm.
with kind of people online, and I was watching all of their stuff, and I was like, the fitness lifestyle to me was like the lifestyle that I wanted to have. It was
Yeah.
like a dream of mine to be able to wake up every day, go to a gym, help people with their fitness, because fitness has changed my life for the better. Because I was going down like a bad path around 17, 18, 19, maybe even 20, 21. So like I
Okay.
was still training,
Yeah.
but I was just going down the wrong way. And then to me, prep and bodybuilding was just something that I never done,
Yeah.
and I wanted to do it. But
Mhm.
because, again, the gym,
Obviously, that was a lot of stress doing so much at once.
it is a lot of stress, but it wasn't stressful in the way that you would imagine. Like I was standing there pulling my hair out.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was like, it was stressful in like,
The time.
yeah, just the amount that I had to learn, and the
Yeah.
amount of moments where I always felt like stupid, and I always felt like I didn't have any of the answers. The best analogy I've come up with is, when you're running a business, and you have no experience whatsoever, it's kind of like when your car breaks down on the side
Okay.
of the road, and you get out and you pop the bonnet, and you have
Mhm.
no clue what you're looking at, but your girlfriend's looking at you in the car again. Are you gonna get out and like try fix this thing, Joe? We're not gonna sit here. So you're pretending like you know what you're looking at, and you've no clue
Yeah.
what
okay.
the problem is. So to me, business is not knowing what the problem is. I know
Yeah.
something's wrong,
Yeah.
so I know something's not working.
Mhm.
Whether it be the money isn't coming in, or whether it be this, but I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah.
So that's how I became such a good problem solver, because I
Okay.
started to ask myself questions, and I started to talk to myself. Okay, what's the problem?
Yeah.
What am I actually trying to fix here? Okay, what works? And then I'd be process of elimination. I'd start to eliminate things. But yeah, prep kind of took a backseat for me when business became
Yeah.
a thing. And I do say, guys, everyone has bad times, but the last 4 to 5 years, from a training perspective and a prep related perspective and a fitness related perspective, have been the worst 5 years that I can put my hands up and
Mhm.
say, I'm better than that.
Yeah.
I should have looked after my health better over those times, and that's the difference now. I've just decided, similar to you,
Yeah.
I got fed up with myself
Yeah.
of just making the same excuses over and over and over again, telling myself that we'll get better on Monday,
Yeah.
or we'll get better on this day, or we'll
Mhm.
get better on that day, and I just got sick of it. So,
Yeah.
this time for me, prep is a little bit more about the journey, and a little bit more about like, it's one of those things that I'm scared to do in a way that like I've failed 4 times, or
Yeah.
4 times, that like I'm like, he's definitely gonna fuck it up. There's no way he's gonna do
We
it. Like,
won't let you fail
yeah,
this
no,
time.
I won't. I'm in a different mindset this year. I've
Yeah.
just decided that this year, like, I'm just in a different mindset.
Yeah, that's what I was actually gonna ask as well. Like, what's different this time compared to all the other times that you've
The
tried?
amount of times that I've failed,
Yeah.
yeah, and the amount of stuff that has taught me about myself,
Mhm.
and it still comes back to everything is my fault.
Yeah.
I'm not where I want to be
Yeah.
because I'm making excuses
Yeah.
for things that I should be doing.
Yeah.
It's that Alex Hermosi quote, or I don't know if it's him or Chris, where he's like, the magic you're looking for is
Yeah.
in the work that you're avoiding.
Yes. Yeah.
Whatever that thing is that you want to bring
Yeah.
better quality of life to your life, whether it be
Mhm.
waking up every day with integrity, feeling like that you are putting your best foot forward, feeling like you are being a better person, feeling like you are doing, you know, whatever, you're working towards something that is meaningful. I think, yeah, that's it. It's just like I was avoiding all of the things, and I was looking for every like I said, I'm very good at making excuses. I can make an excuse right now on why this podcast just turned off. I kicked over a coffee cup. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll
Which
do
you
it.
nearly did, actually.
I remember this first time, right? This is a very funny story, right? I signed up for like a cross country race.
Okay.
Yeah. And basically what happened was I got tired. Yeah.
Okay.
So I tripped myself up.
Stop.
Yeah.
Like on purpose?
Yeah, on purpose, yeah. So that I didn't have to finish the race. And then I pretended to be injured.
That is terrible.
I was only like 12 or something. I was so fat as a kid.
That's where it all started.
Yeah, that's where it all started. I was like 12 and so out of shape.
Yeah.
And like I remember, it's funny how we just remember these moments where it's like I can remember the track. It was in a field. It was like part of the school. I was just running. And I got to the first corner. And bro, I was so tired. I was huffing and puffing. And then I just was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. So I just tripped myself up. I kicked my own ankle. I think I tripped like 2 other people up at the time. Yeah. Yeah, so I think for me, prep this year is about proving to myself that I can do whatever I put my mind to, despite what I tell myself. It's, you know, it is really like what I would like people to learn from anything is that you can do anything you put your mind to, and the difference between someone who achieves it and the someone who doesn't achieve it is that they're not willing to accept. That's why I asked you that question. Not willing to accept, you know, excuses as a way of stop doing the race. Like me kicking myself and tripping myself up. Like we do that on purpose. Sometimes that's a funny way to kind of spin it, but sometimes we can pretend that things are worse than they are, so that we have a excuse to be able to do something. So like if that is something that you do, like you don't have to make those excuses. Do you know what I mean? Take Nicole's approach and take it one day at a time, because I've learned a lot from taking things one day at a time. And I think having the support of everyone in the gym and around and everything, you know, has massively helped me and put me in a different mindset. And then I also think all of those lessons that you go through are so valuable. Like all of those nights where you sit there and you're fed up and you're just scrolling on YouTube or Netflix, or you watch a series in a day.
And then you just end up being like so disappointed in yourself.
Yeah. You learn so much about yourself in those moments.
You
like
do.
I think you do need to. Remember I asked you, Jay, and then I think we should maybe wrap up. But I said, hey, you know, I asked Jay, how does he deal with tough problems? Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I just go out on walks and, you know, I just keep to myself. Yeah. And I said, it was funny, right? Because we all do this, right? Yeah. You know, how do you deal with a problem? Typically what we do is if it's get angry or get sad or get frustrated, or we start to act in a way that we wouldn't normally act. And that act starts to ruin other things in our life. Yeah. So how we deal with problems is by making everything else worse.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You start to get snappy at your partner. I'm a victim of this, you know? You start to get snappy at your friends. You start to get snappy at people and start to blame others, and you start to, you know, ruin other things in your life that are quite good.
Instead of just owning up to your own shit.
Exactly. Instead of just fixing the one thing that's wrong. Yeah. You know, whatever that problem is. You know, you smashed your car up, or, you know, like you got in an accident, or not in an accident, but you got a new car and it's now damaged. It's your fault. Fix that problem. Make more money. Work harder. Repair it. Get back to normal. Do you know what I mean? But typically we can start to, you know, pick on other people, or we can pick on ourselves more. But typically the way to deal with problems is to make them worse, make everything else worse. Didn't go to the gym that day because I crashed my car, or this bad thing happened. I didn't eat, I ordered a pizza because do you know what I mean?
I did a meal prep. I didn't have time to cook.
You know, so we tend to make things worse for ourselves, even when we need to probably keep them better during those difficult times. You know, and that, I think that's the balance for me is that this year I just decided that, look, if I give it a 110% and I fail, well, then I know I've given it 110% and failed. But I know that won't be the outcome. No. I know that if I actually give it 110%, there is no way I can fail. you
Yeah.
know. So changing my mindset to that, and that's why I asked you a question on what do you think is harder, because now that I have my momentum, I actually think it was harder for those first 3 weeks.
Definitely.
They were to just change
Yeah.
that habit. That was the most difficult thing that I've done in a very long time.
Yeah, and I think because you're also not seeing progress yet at that stage, it just feels like you're just doing it, but there's like nothing there.
Yeah. Changing a habit, I think, is way harder than the next 16 weeks of prep. Like, I'm looking forward to low food and
Yeah.
the tough cardio sessions and the tough leg days. But those first 3 weeks, oh, I don't want to go through that again. Do you know that kind of way?
Yeah.
And, you know, and that can
Like,
be...
it's always the hardest at the start.
That's it, you know. So, you know, a tip, and do you want to leave people with maybe 3 of your top prep tips? You know, you can go. We'll go one. I'll go first.
Okay, you go first.
I think the first one is habit related. It is actually harder to change the habit than it is to sustain the habit. So make sure that the first 3 to 4 weeks, whatever that amount of time is that it needs to change a habit, that you do not slip up.
Yeah.
So give it 110%. And if you want to start like giving yourself a pizza once a week after 4 weeks, then you'll have already built up enough discipline and habitual processes that you won't feel like you're falling off plan.
Yeah.
So building the habit first, I think treat that like a matter of life and death situation. If you're really trying to change, or you really want to prep, or you really want to start that photo shoot, or you really want to, you know, diet for summer, or you really want to just do anything, just 4 weeks of just pure, this is what I'm going to do. It's 4 weeks of your life. I 100% guarantee you that you will not regret giving up those 4 weeks when you come out at the end with the effort that you put in.
Yeah. So I would definitely say make sure you do everything that you need to do on a daily basis. So just make sure you tick off all the boxes, like no matter if you want to do it or not, because if you don't, you're just going to build a habit of skipping things. So like skipping your cardio or skipping your steps, and that's actually going to, like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to like ruin your progress, if you get me. So even if you don't want to do something, just suck it up and do it.
Okay.
Just do it.
Embrace the suck. Embrace the suck. You know. 2 tips I have.
Oh, I have more.
Yeah. Oh. So now you have more. 2 tips that I find work really well is set the same training time, regardless of just set the same training time every day. I know that's very difficult to do, but look at your schedule. Look at when you can train 3 or 4 times a week, whatever your split is. Try to find the time that you can just give yourself enough time to train, and treat it like, for the parents out there, treat it like your kids have football training on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Because I guarantee you there's people listening to this that this will resonate with, and they'll just go, actually, like, my kids train at the same time, at the same day, every single week for the year, for the season. And you need to treat your own training like a local football team. Monday 8 o'clock, Monday 6 o'clock, whatever that time is, and just stick to those times, and just think about it like you have to train at those times. Because when something pops up and it's like, oh, I have to make the dinner, I have to do this, I have to do that, they go, oh, I'll just forget about myself. But they will not. They will make sure that their kids go to football training every week. It could be rain, sleet, or snow.
Exactly.
You're going to training because you know the benefits of exercise and you want the best for your kids. So I do think having that same approach to your own training is very, very helpful.
So mine actually is about timing as well, except it's with the food part. So obviously when your food gets low, like, it might be hard. Obviously it's going to be harder because you're going to be hungry. So it's actually really beneficial if you set yourself meal times. So make yourself a meal plan if you don't already have one, because that actually makes it easier as well. So know what you're going to eat, for example, the following day or for the next few days. Track it if you track it. and then have set meal times for each meal of, so for example, like have your meal 1 at 9, have your meal 2 at 1, meal 3 at like 4 or 5, and then like, how many meals did I say? Like 4? 3?
Yeah, 4.
Next one at like 8 or something. Like, make sure you eat at the same time every day, because then your body is actually going to be used to it, and it's not just going to be like getting random bursts of hunger throughout the day, because one day you eat 5 times a day, the other day you eat like twice a day. And also meal prep, because like that's something I only started to do recently. So I used to hate reheating food, so I'd actually just cook whenever I had to eat, and it took up so much of my time. So I'd actually started to meal prep, and I find it so much easier to like just so much easier to like keep going throughout the day, because I have my food made, so I literally just heat it up, eat it more or less same time every single day, and it actually really helps to like manage your hunger as well. And you don't have to think about it because it's already made.
Yeah.
So.
My last one is, as food starts to get lower, I have these, like, I like metal spoons, but I have these tiny metal spoons, and it just makes me feel like I'm eating for so much longer.
Yeah.
And I really do slow down my eating, and I try to enjoy every single bite like I'm eating a pizza.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I really do try a practice appreciating, like, I get this food. I have the ability to be able to eat healthy. I live in, Ireland, where life is good. I can actually diet. I can train. I have access to this equipment. So I try to be extremely grateful on the days that are difficult. That's my last tip.
Okay. So
have you got any more?
My last one is...
Make it short now.
Make it short. Okay.
No, I'm joking.
I feel like I'm under pressure now. So my last one would be, don't change up your training just because like you're on prep or you're in a deficit. Like, don't completely go and change up your training plan, adding in new exercises and everything, because that's actually going to take away from your progress. So do the exact same training plan, still go into your session, still push as hard as you can, and like, don't think about your strength going down like straight away, because it shouldn't. Like, you should still push as hard as you can just to maintain your muscle, and then like, you will lose strength, but that shouldn't be until like the very, very end of your prep or your cut, because like obviously your food's going to be low then, so you won't have as much strength. But the start of it, you should still keep trying to make progress and maintain the progress that you've made, because you don't want to lose your gains. Okay?
Basically, you don't want to be a skinny little bitch.
You don't want to be a skinny little bitch. No.
Me and Nicole have this thing, and Jay as well, where we call each other little bitches. And
I call it members sometimes too, if they're being little bitches. So if you come to the gym and I see that you're being a little, I might come up to you and I might call you a skinny bitch. So don't get offended. I'm just speaking facts.
That's it. Well, it was great talking to you. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for joining me today. I feel like it was a great chat.
Thank you.
And make sure to give us a like and a follow, and whatever else you can do. Make sure you pop down to the gym, sign up, become a member, because we are the best out of the best, obviously. And I will catch you in the next one.